Hello, this is Apai here, and I'm here with Scott.
How are you?
Good, thank you. I have the honour and privilege to actually introduce the leaders of the Salvation Army nationally and the leaders of the South Australian Salvation Army. So before I talk, you guys want to introduce yourselves, please?
Yeah, good morning. I'm Robert.
I'm Janine, and we have the great privilege of being territorial leaders in this wonderful country of Australia.
Yeah.
And I'm Lance Jeffrey.
And I'm Anne Jeffrey.
And it's our privilege to be leaders of the Salvation Army for South Australia and the Northern Territory as well.
Awesome. I noticed an accent with you guys. Where are you guys from?
Well, my accent's fairly similar to yours. It's that slight Kiwi accent, but I just lack the Tongan edge.
Yeah, that's it. So you guys are from New Zealand. So whereabouts in New Zealand are you guys from?
I originally came from Dunedin, which is where I was born and bred, but we've lived in every rugby franchise up and down the nation, so we're all good.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm from Auckland myself, so I go for the Blues. Awesome. And again, just thank you again, guys, for coming here and actually allowing us the opportunity to actually be able to interview you guys and hopefully get a bit of insight into what life is like for you guys. So I'll just start with the first question. How long have you guys been involved with the Salvation Army for? I guess we can start for you guys.
A very long time.
Yep.
Been involved in the Salvation Army, very long time. So my parents are also, they're retired now, Salvation Army officers. So I grew up, but I made my own decision for the Lord at 7 years old. And I've been an officer for over 30 years.
And I came from a non-Salvation Army family originally, but I was dedicated as a baby in the Army, and then the local corps were really good to me and my family, and we were gradually just assumed into it. Although I had an interesting journey with my spiritual life, because whilst I was a Salvationist and really involved and did lots of leadership things as a teenager and that, but it was only actually when I was at the training college, training to be a Salvation Army officer, that I made a really significant decision.
Awesome.
Yeah, I say it went from head to heart.
Yeah, that's cool. And for you guys?
I've grown up in the Salvation Army. My great-grandmother actually was an officer in England back in the day, but awesome. My parents also were Salvationists. So I've been in the Salvation Army my whole life, but actively participating out of, I guess, my own experience myself too, from about the age of 12, I think. I can really remember significant moments in my life where I had that sense of call to serve God through the Salvation Army.
Yeah, I too have grown up in the Salvation Army. My mum and dad were officers, they're retired now. Yeah, I've always been involved in the Salvation Army. I think I went through probably a period of time in my teenage years where I probably questioned whether everything I'd been told is what I really believed. But it came to a point where I just made a commitment to, first of all, to God and to the Salvation Army to continue my ministry and life within it. Yeah.
Awesome. And you touched on it previous as well. You guys are the leaders for South Australia and Northern Territory. I've never been there myself. I like to go to Northern Territory. I think it's a pretty cool place and what I see. So just quickly as well, like, how was it sort of going between the two?
Yeah, it's been an interesting journey because it's really, as you say, it's quite, the Northern Territory is quite unique in its ministry, and the way I look at it is that as a division, we are the richer for it for the diversity. I'm not sure that within Australia, even within the International Salvation Army, there is a division that is so diverse and rich in its diversity of the different kinds of ministries and expressions of the Salvation Army within it. And so I think we're the richer for it. And we're starting to see some great collaboration and synergy across the two states as we work together, which I'm really excited about, encouraged about.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
So as national and state leaders, we're going to assume that your day is very interesting. So we're wondering if you can just share with us a little bit about what a day might look like for you.
Well, I think what we'll do is, because our job really has two parts. Our job has a governance part, which is the board and the board's committees, and that's ensuring that the Salvation Army is very clear about its goals, its mission and its vision, and that, you know, there's appropriate policies in place, and that the management team are actually taking the organisation in the direction that the board has planned. And then we have this joint wonderful privilege of being the spiritual leaders of the Salvation Army, and that's why we like to, one of the aspects of that is getting around all these visits.
And as Lance just said, you know, seeing people at their place and hearing their stories and hearing their celebrations and challenges, and actually being able to be with you in your place is really important to us. And that is a huge privilege for Robert and I.
Yeah, similar to us. I mean, it is a great privilege to be able to see the various expressions of the Salvation Army. But in a day-to-day, I think that's what you asked more specifically. I don't feel like I get the opportunity to really engage in a personal level as much. A lot of time is spent in meetings, responding to emails, correspondence. Since we moved to Teams meetings, it's almost back-to-back often, unless you're really disciplined in carving out the time to physically go and visit, like we have this opportunity now. It can get sort of filled up with meetings. A lot of it's incredibly necessary. We have an amazing team of people, and a lot of my time is spent catching up with our different sort of heads of departments, stream leaders in finance, property. A lot of our work together is overcoming challenges or proposals that are put to us, and really, I guess, trying to find ways that we can utilise the resources that we have, limited as they are, in the best possible way, ultimately to get to the front line, ultimately to see the mission of the Salvation Army delivered through our local mission delivery model at the front line. Ultimately, we're sending that message. We exist to support those on the front line, and I guess that's the message we try and push out. We've got a phenomenal team of people that are working to do that.
Yeah, and I think from our perspective, it's great to know, not just the faces, but to have these opportunities to meet, the people that are leading our faith-based expressions and our social mission, and the overall organisation. So yeah, thanks again for making that real for us in this setting, and thanks for the work that you're doing to keep us moving in the right direction.
Thank you.
So as we all know, last year, a large chunk of it was not, easy because of COVID. So during COVID, what challenges did you guys face as state and national leaders, and also still do, if you guys do?
Sure. Obviously, there was a huge amount of adaptability was required and flexibility. There was also key safety issues. So from a governance perspective, there was a very, we came close alongside management as the management team really worked out how we would safely deliver services, what we should be doing in the space, how we should be responding to all the changes in government legislation and the COVID requirements, how we might respond, for example, in the homelessness space, where all of a sudden other people got involved and wanted to help people get into accommodation, and what that looked like. And then on the other side, maybe you want to comment about all of the flexibility around worship opportunities and that sort of thing.
So people just had, no time really to think about that. How would they worship when we couldn't meet together in person?
Yep.
So it was fantastic to see people going online, and also in that, people helping each other from all around Australia, saying, "Hey, we can see you guys have, got this. You're online. Can
Awesome.
you help us?" And people were incredible. Just, getting ideas and being innovative with how we could keep together, and then how that might outwork later on. Even now, as we see some light at the end of the tunnel, the question is, what might we change now to actually find places that people can actually connect? Yes, Sunday's fantastic. We love to be together, but there's all sorts of other days during the week where people can meet together.
And I think what's really important in there is that a whole huge number of new people have connected with us, or people who used to be with us have reconnected with discipleship and prayer and that online, who might not choose to come on a Sunday. So how do we maintain that? Because we've almost doubled the number of people who are on discipleship pathways.
Wow, yeah, cool.
So how do we maintain that? How do we do the old thing with the new thing and keep the spiritual heart of the Salvation Army alive and well?
Yeah, I think, as Janine was saying, I think the strength of being a national movement came through. Like, as soon as we went into COVID, there was daily meetings nationally with the leaders, trying to kind of adjust to the new restrictions that were being... And so going into COVID, they were nationally imposed, and so it really was, for me, it was a really a bit of a baptism by fire. We just sort of started, Anne and I, in our new roles in February, and by March we were already scrambling to find out how do we do this new role, and everything that we sort of had a sense about how we did it, policies, procedures, was turned on its head. And so we were gathering people together, hearing from our national team how we're going to respond, then meeting with our local team, trying to implement those changes and how is that going to work in our local context. And so it really was, for me, it was weirdly a pivotal and important opportunity to gather and meet with people and engage with people on a pretty personal and intense level.
Yeah.
And I saw people just rise to the occasion and respond in the most magnificent way. So, that was our... Have you got some other things?
And I think for me, I just thought that while it was an event that separated us, I think in a way it really unified us all. Even in a very deep human level, that we all had to come to terms with how do we do life now when I'm separated from those I love? How do we express our faith when we can't do the things that we used to do that were so significant to us? And I think such a beautiful learning opportunity is to actually ask the really deep questions. And I think that we've been changed by that, personally and organisationally too, and I think that's a great thing.
And it's really important we don't lose that by just reverting to what we have always done, because there's been great advancements we mustn't let go.
Yeah, and innovations, I think, across the board. Yeah. The Salvation Army, I think, is in a really strong position to, as an organisation, meet people's needs and to serve people through our faith-based expressions and our social supports and services. So we're really keen to put the question to you, how important is the message of Christ for us today in both of those settings, and I guess how we apply that?
Absolutely central, because our mission statement starts by saying that we are a Christian movement, dedicated to expressing the love of Christ through, and on it goes. Our whole theological view of people is that, we are body, soul, spirit.
Yep.
We live in community, and Jesus himself, 3 of the Gospels record Jesus speaking about eternal life or fullness of life being when there is health in all of those aspects, our physical well-being, our emotional well-being, our spiritual well-being, our mental, intellectual development, as well as our relational within family and communities. So that must be our approach and mission, and that's why we've been saying holistic mission. It's not because holistic mission is the answer, it's because people are whole. And we need to work with people holistically because they're whole people. And centre of that for us is, Jesus himself said, fullness of life, eternal life, completeness of life is when all of those things are well and healthy. And so we preach Christ at the very centre of that. There's nothing else. If we lose that as a Salvation Army, we aren't the Salvation Army.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't feel I could really add to that. I mean, that what more can you say to that? But that I think it really is. And Robert started with the beginning, and it finishes. That to transform Australia one life at a time with the love of Jesus. And I think we often think about transformation taking place in many forms, but I think it's getting back to really truly believing that real, lasting, deep transformation of a person's life happens.
Yep.
Expressed through the love of Christ and receiving the love of Christ and a faith in him for people in themselves is what's going to bring deep, lasting transformation that we're seeking.
Yeah.
So it's imperative, isn't it? Yeah.
Awesome. And just thank you again for those answers there. Very awesome and inspirational answers and truth.
So there's a number of ways you can answer this last question. So you've all grown up as young people. At some point in time, I'm assuming that your parents and perhaps grandparents, but we're really keen to always pick people's brains about what is maybe a word or a piece of advice or something that's really been important to you in either that that role as a young person or perhaps as an older person influencing or mentoring young people. What's that word that you would pass on to a young person?
I think really just showing an interest in someone young, just getting alongside them. And I love the mentoring image. I think that's really important, to give something to aspire to someone. I really think that's important for a youth. I also think you want to have some fun when you're young.
Definitely.
You want to get together and have some fun and be young, and then you want to be with people where you feel protected and cared for, and a place of acceptance.
Yes. Yep.
Church should be a place, wherever that is, whatever name you want to give it, should be a place that when I muck up, I want to run to, not run away from. And I want to see them running back.
Yep.
As I reflect on my own younger years and even into earlier adulthood, I wish that I had had somebody who could really work through my stuff with me, because that would have made a healthier me at a younger age. So my thing would be, deal with your stuff.
Yeah, I reflect too on my own experience and the influences in my life, and it was always that unconditional acceptance and love, and a simple word from some older ladies in my corps who would always say to me every day, every time I saw them, "I pray for you." That's such a significant influence to have. And so for our young people to know that they're prayed for and that they're loved unconditionally, I think is so empowering and can transform their life. And also, I guess, just for them to know that to be who they are, that they can be totally accepted and loved unconditionally because of who they are, and to seek out who it is that God's calling them to be.
Really important to have someone, or know that there's someone in your corner. The scene looks like it's not going your way or in your favour, just having somebody reach out and let you know that they're there with you. That's good. Lance?
Yeah, Scott, I think as you were talking, my mind went straight to who were the key people in my life, who were the people, and some of them weren't outstanding, when I say outstanding in terms of people with big personalities or whatever, they were people, much of what's been said, that would take an interest in my interests, You just walk alongside how are you going, engage in what was important to me in my life. But they were people of character, people of of integrity, people that said they believed and stood for something, and when they were out of public eye or whatever, they were the people that you saw in the public were the same people.
Yeah.
And they just and that unconditional love. And I know I've tested the boundaries in my youth where I know now, I didn't know what I was doing then, but at the time I think what I was asking of important people, influential people in my life, if I don't actually toe the line, if I don't do what I think you expect of me, will you still love me? And they were the people that said and stood by me, and it didn't matter. They said, we'll love you regardless. In various ways they communicated. So that unconditional love was imperative. And I think through my behaviours, I didn't know at the time, I was asking those questions, those people. And when I knew that it was an unconditional love, I thought, it's meaningful. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, actually, for being here today. One absolute honour and privilege. On behalf of Scott, myself, and Salvation Army, again, Richard, we just want to thank you guys for coming here and being part of this, and actually allowing us this opportunity to just interview guys and sort of see again what it's like in the life of our leaders. And again, just thank you, and hope you guys have enjoyed your stay in Port Augusta.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Thank you.